Hi everybody, and welcome to this webinar specifically designed for the Ukrainian audience, for the people who have been displaced or have moved to our region and looking for international jobs in this region. And my name is Olga Golubova, and I'm working with a regional economic development agency called InnovationQuarter, which is located in this area. And let me talk a bit more about this area. Which represents the 4 cities, Rotterdam, The Hague, Leiden, and Delft. So this webinar is tailored specifically to this region, but as you know, you might be based in all kinds of cities right now in the Netherlands, and we've received quite numerous messages and registrations from you, so we know that all of you are based in this region, but the partners from this region whom we are working with have teamed up and organized this event specifically for you to help you search a job in this region. And we figured out that not all of this content can fit in 1 hour, so we decided to split it and make a series of 2 webinars. And today we're going to talk about your path towards employment. So things you need to focus on, like preparing your CV, going through the application process in order to find a job in the Netherlands and orientate yourself on the market. And then in the second part, so please stay tuned. I will announce the exact date and time at the end of the webinar, or if you're not watching us live, you can watch in the recording at the end. There will be a registration link for the next webinar. And then we will dive deeper in specifically the job searching opportunities, the specific sectors that are popular in this region, and the portals, the platforms that you can use in order to find a job in this region. And as you can understand, this webinar will be all in English, as we have announced. We know that some of the Ukrainian people that have moved here, they speak really good English, so we're trying to help with this webinar, this specific audience. So thank you for your understanding for that. And yes, if you're watching this webinar live, you can put your questions in the chat. We have a team out here to help to answer these questions. People from the Rotterdam and the Hague Expat centers are here. So if any of the questions will not be covered, please put them in the chat. But we do have, from your registration procedure, we have compiled all your questions. So we're gonna try to cover them as much as possible during the coming hours. So stay with us. And yes, as I said, this webinar will give you, as a job seeker, your path towards employment. So beginning with the preparation of the documents, like a CV, your motivational letter, and then proceeding with the actual application, your job offer, contract, and acceptance process. So these really practical basis and tips and tricks we'll cover in this hour. Because as an applicant, you should be able to know how to emphasize your skills and your experience to your advantage in this specific country with all the experience that you have from previous roles. So we received numerous questions from you, and we compiled this program out of that. And today we will speak with 2 recruitment consultants who are here in the studio. I will introduce them a little bit. So Octagon Professionals and Untouchables Recruitment Agency are here, both recruitment professionals, consultants who will talk about different topics in just a bit. So before we jump to their part, I want to quickly run you through and hear from the Expat Center connected to the Hague International Center, also the Hague Municipality. Thomas Ansel, he will give you a little bit of guidance into the employment rights, not only in this region, but in the whole Netherlands.
Hi everyone, I'm here to explain your working rights in the Netherlands. In short, Ukrainian people that have been displaced to the Netherlands may work without a work permit. This applies to everyone with either Ukrainian citizenship or a Ukrainian residence permit that has arrived in the Netherlands since November the 26th last year. This also applies to people who are related to or married to a Ukrainian person. So let's get to work. First, you need to register with your local municipality. This is also known as BRP registration. You will receive a BSN number once you have registered. Now remember to bring your Ukrainian passport or residence permit with you to your appointment. If you don't have your passport, don't worry. You can ask for proof of citizenship in a document from the Ukrainian embassy. In the future, you will also need to go to the IND, the Dutch Immigration Service. They will then give you a residence and work permit. Until then, your BSN, Ukrainian passport or your ID is proof you can work. Don't forget to open a Dutch bank account so that you can get paid. Now, you're ready to work in the Netherlands. Remember, your new employer must register you as an employee at the UWV, the Dutch Workers Agency. People working in the Netherlands have working rights too. Everyone over the age of 21 is entitled to a minimum wage of at least €1,725 per month. You can't be asked to work more than 12 hours per day or 60 hours in a week. After you finish working, you must be allowed a rest period of at least 11 hours. You have the right to paid holiday leave. The amount of paid holiday leave is at least the number of days you work per week times 4. You have the right to paternity leave, maternity leave, sick leave, and care leave. And you have a minimum 1-month termination period. All of your working rights should be clearly stated in your contract. You can reach out for help if you think a contract is unfair, for example at the organisation Fair Work. If you work in the Netherlands, you do need to take out basic Dutch health insurance. This usually costs about €100 per month, but you are able to get benefits to lower these costs. Once you have begun working in the Netherlands, you lose your right to a living allowance from the municipality. If you prefer, you can also work as a volunteer or as an intern. You would need to apply for an extra work permit if you want to work as an entrepreneur though. If you have questions about working in the Netherlands, just contact your local municipality. Thank you for watching. I wish you the very best of luck in your job search.
Thank you very much, Thomas. And Thomas was from the Hague International Center. We also have Rotterdam Expat Center present to answer your questions in a live chat, so put them in if you have some. And yeah, useful tips. Don't be worried if you haven't remembered everything. You can watch it back in the recording, of course, later on. So now I'm going to introduce you to Anka Hardot, who is the recruitment consultant from Octagon Professionals. And I'm going to hand her over the slides. So Anka, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. So my name is Anka, and I am an international recruiter. I have been an international recruiter for almost 10 years now. I moved to Netherlands 2 years ago, and I'm working with Octagon Professionals. Octagon Professionals is a recruitment and HR services agency here in The Hague. And my job is to find the right candidates, actually international candidates, for our clients. So please check our website. Maybe you will find the right job for you within our vacancies. So today, what I would like to do is to give you practical information, practical advices on how to write a CV, a cover letter for Netherlands, and also some information about specific requirements in the Netherlands, and qualification in the Netherlands. So let's start with the CV. The CV is the first and probably the most important tool in finding a job in the Netherlands. You should think of it as your business card. It's a marketing tool. So of course, it should be really, really well written. So we have an example here. Actually, this is a CV that we have received from a Ukrainian young lady. So we will use it as an example. First thing that we can say is that is one-page CV. And yes, this is the Dutch way. Because recruiters and hiring managers will clearly have an overview on your professional profile. Yes. If you are not able to resume your CV to one page, do not worry, 2 pages is acceptable. And now let's see the structure. You should start with your contact details. Your name and surname, your location. It's important for us to know if you're already in Netherlands. Then you will put your phone number. If you are still using your Ukrainian phone number, please mention if you are available on WhatsApp. It will be easier for us to contact you. Because if we are calling outside the European Union, we will have extra costs. Then your email address. There is an important information about email accounts that you should take in consideration. Please do check the settings of your email account, and more specifically, be sure that the recipient will see your contact details in Latin characters and not in Cyrillic characters. Because of the Cyrillic characters, your email might go to the spam folder. And it would be a pity, as you worked a lot on your CV, on your application, and then the recruiter will not read it, will not go through it. Okay. Then the LinkedIn profile. If you have a LinkedIn profile, please add the link. If you don't have one already, please create one. It will really increase your visibility on the market for recruiters and also for the companies. We have received questions about the photo. Should you put a photo or not put a photo on your CV? You should know that recruiters and hiring managers will be remembering much more easily a CV with a photo. However, if the photo is not in your advantage or it's not a professional one, please do not add it. Yeah? Go and focus on the next part, which is your personal profile, your personal description. Here you will describe yourself, you will describe your skills, you will talk about your ambitions, what would you like to do. This paragraph, it should be really an attractive one. Yeah? You should be creative about this one. But if you are not a creative person or you have doubts and you think it's not a good one, do not include it. Yeah? It's better not to have one than to have a bad one. And please do not use the generic ones like I am a highly skilled professional with extended experience in my field and I'm searching for a job within a company in order to and blah, blah, blah. This is too vague. Yeah? It says nothing about you. Go and focus on the next part, which is the work experience and maybe the most important part of your CV, because the recruiter and the hiring manager will read it very, very carefully. First thing, you should always start with your more recent experience. We have been receiving Ukrainian applications and candidates are starting their work experience on the CV with their first experience after the university. Please do not do that. It's important for us to have the most updated and relevant information, and this is the most recent one. Also pay attention at the job title. Here we have HR department specialist. This is not really a job title. The job titles should be HR or human resources specialist. Why is that important? Because job titles are keywords. And those keywords are used by recruiters and hiring managers to search the right candidates, the qualified candidates for the positions. Yeah? So please keep that in mind. Then, please do not just copy-paste the job description from your previous experiences. Yes, you should be here clear and concise. Use bullet points. Talk about your achievements, your added value in the company, and do not just talk about the company and then list a long list of tasks. For example, if your last experience, your current experience, it's a management role, but now you are applying for an operational position. Here you should emphasize on your achievements and added value on the operational part. Yeah? And you should not mention that you managed 15 people. Yeah? You had a team of 15. You should know that Dutch employer, when they are looking at your CV and at the job that for which they are searching for the right candidate, will try to understand if this job will be the logical step forward in your career and not the other way around. Okay. Then going through the education part, just state your highest education. If you have other courses, but only if they are in line with the job for which you are applying for. Then you have the skills part. This is also important. Here you will mention your technical skills, your soft skills, and your language skills. Your technical or hard skills might be softwares, applications, tools that you used in your previous jobs. Maybe you have certifications. This is a good place where to put them. It's important to write them correctly and use the right wording because, again, those are keywords for recruiters and hiring managers in their search for the potential good candidates. Language skills. So you don't know Dutch, that's normal. So English, it's mandatory to be there. And please do be objective about your proficiency level. Yeah? If you know other languages, besides Ukrainian and Russian, it's also nice to have, so please add them. Do not represent your level of proficiency in a bar like here or in stars, with stars or in percentage, because it's not really relevant for us. Use the European framework, you know, beginner, intermediate, advanced, or fluent, and so on. And here we are at the last point of your CV, interests. Interests or hobbies. So you may have some or you may not. If you don't have any, do not worry about, but please do not invent some just for the sake of having this line filled in. No, it will not work. You should know that Dutch employers, of course, they are searching for the right profile in terms of professional profile, but they will also want to understand what kind of person you are and who you are and what you are doing outside your working hours. So, because for them it's important not just to fit the job, but also to fit the team in which you will be working. So just to sum up the most important information, the CV should be 1 page or maximum 2 pages. Please save it in PDF or Word format, otherwise we might just not be able to open the document. Always adjust your CV to the position for which you are applying for. There is no such thing as a generic CV. Yeah? Be clear, use bullet points, and proofread, proofread, proofread. No typos, no other kinds of errors, please. And then we will go to the next document, the cover letter. Companies will ask for a cover letter as it influences the quality of applications. Yeah? The recruiter may receive CVs that are not in line with the job description or too many applications from candidates that are just testing the market. So your cover letter will add value to your application because you will show that you really care about this role. Okay. But it's not advised to use overly enthusiastic language. You know, Dutch employers like it short and concise and straightforward. In your cover letter, you should motivate your desire to work for the company, for this position, and will also support your CV with specific information from your experiences, you know, like in our example with the bullet points. Now, please remember, keep it short, authentic, and of course connect your personal skills and ambitions to what the company is searching for. You will not be able to write a cover letter like that. No, you will need to prepare. So please highlight the keywords that you would like to repeat in your cover letter while going through the vacancy. Then do your research, learn about the company, Google them, see what their business is, their mission, their values. You know. And then you should answer yourself the following questions. What do I want an employer to know about me? Why am I motivated for this position? Why am I a good fit for this role? Yeah. Look back on your own career and the way that you have been shaped. Why did you choose specific jobs or friends or hobbies? Look back on your experiences and what did you learn from them? If you know what drives you, if you know where you get your energy from and what is your path right now, what is the direction that you want to take, you will be able to express your message much more clearly and easily. So now that you prepared for the cover letter, you should know the structure, and we will go through our example. You will need to address to the contact that was mentioned in the job description, dear, and the name of the hiring manager, dear, or the name of the recruiter. In the first paragraph, you should state the position for which you are applying for. This is the moment also to be enthusiastic about the position, yeah? Like our candidate is in the first phrase. Then, second paragraph. Here you will need to focus on the organization. Yes, why would you like to work for this organization? And state your motivation. You will use your research that you already done, and here our candidate is connecting her beliefs to the company's values and mission. Then in the third paragraph, it will be important to address the company's needs. Yeah? Why, and convince the reader why you are a great candidate and maybe the best candidate for this position. Again, you will need to give examples. Yes. Here you will use the keywords that you have chosen from the vacancy, and you will give examples from your previous job experience, like the candidate is doing with the bullet points. And then you will have in the closing paragraph. In the closing paragraph, you are just showing your enthusiasm to having an interview and that you are looking forward to speaking with them. And I will go to the last slide. Are my qualifications recognized in Netherlands? So in my experience until now, for the English-speaking jobs, you only need a master or a bachelor degree. Yeah? Dutch employers do really value experience, so they will want to know if you are a fit through your experience. But of course, if you are a junior, certifications and degrees will be important. Regarding the technical certifications, usually they are really universal. Yeah, there are some specific organizations providing specific certification, and they are the same everywhere. However, we do have some regulated professions in the Netherlands, and those professions do require specific qualifications. To give you some examples, teachers, doctors, architects, yes, those are professions that really required specific qualifications. In order to see if you can exercise your profession in Netherlands, you should go on the link that is mentioned on the presentation and should check if your profession is a regulated one and if you meet the criteria or what to do in order to meet the criteria. So this was it from my side. And I really, really hope that you learned something new today that you can use further on in finding a job here in Netherlands. Thank you again.
Thank you, Anka. Thank you very much. And we have a couple of questions from the audience. We will get to that in our Q&A part at the end. And for now, let me introduce you to our second speaker, whose name is Rodrigo Cruz. He's from Untouchable's recruitment agency, also a big agency here in the Netherlands working with internationals. So please, Rodrigo, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And hi, everybody. My name is Rodrigo Cruz, and I work at Untouchable's recruitment agency here in The Hague. We are specialized in recruitment of internationals. So that means that people who live in the Netherlands or they want to live in the Netherlands, but they don't necessarily speak the Dutch language. So we are always interested in all different languages, and all of our clients are looking for people with different skills when it comes to languages. Okay, so well, I started as well as a candidate at Untouchables. I applied to a couple of positions. Then I saw one position that was interesting for me, and because it matched my skills as a recruiter. So then I applied. So if you are talking about skills, and that's exactly the first slide that I want to talk about, which is about transferable skills. And then after that, we're going to talk about some interview tips here in the Netherlands. So with transferable skills, what are transferable skills? Well, the name says it all. It's really about the skills that you acquired or on your education or on your work experience that are transferable to the scope of a specific job. So if you are thinking about transferable skills in two categories, it's always good to separate them in two parts. We have the hard skills and we have the soft skills. So the hard skills that we're talking about, the first one you can see is the language, of course. It's how many languages do you speak? What's your native language? What additional languages do you have? Or computer programming, if you actually know anything about it, and just always good to put on your resume. Your degree, certainly like what you studied, and it's always good to put that on your resume. And software knowledge, how good you are with, for example, Microsoft Office, which is always required in a lot of vacancies, and so on. So when it comes to soft skills, it's more about your communication skills, like how creative you are, and etc. So they're all good to put on your resume, because then the employer would be able to, or recruiters, they would be able to have a look into your skills, and they will get to know you a little bit better. Certainly the hard skills are the easiest ones to put on your resume, because they are the more straightforward ones. They, you know, like what did you study, what languages do you speak, and so on. The soft ones, even though you can put on your resume, these are things that you can always demonstrate whilst you are on a job interview, because you can put creativity, great communication skills, but a recruiter or an employer would only know, you know, if you are interacting with that person. So think about transferable skills, because you might not have the exact same title of a vacancy, but if you think about the skills that you acquired during your professional life, that could be transferable to the scope of that job that you're interested, always good. All right? So, and preparing for an interview, as you can see, we put it online in quotes, because whether it's online or not, treat it as the same way. If it's an online one, pretend that the person is actually in the room with you, because it's you know, don't do anything that you wouldn't do if the person would be there. So the tips that I would have for you, the straightforward ones: research the company, get to know what the company does, and come up with some nice questions, because it will show that you are interested. It will show that you did your homework, and then the employee would always appreciate that. Refresh your memory. You don't need to actually stress yourself like a few minutes before and then go through the whole notes again. But certainly the day before, just have a look into it, and then make sure that everything is in your mind. And as I said, prepare questions, because it will show that you've done a proper research and you are interested in the company. Okay, when it comes to an online interview, choose a nice location, make sure that everything is okay in the background, that there's nothing that's too distracting in the background, like a white wall would be fine. Dress accordingly, like as it is in a formal interview in a company. test technologies, of course. Something can always go wrong, and especially video and audio. And to fix that during the interview is always stressful and a bit of a hassle. So make sure that you test everything before you start the interview. Consider body language as well. It's always good to make a good posture and present yourself well. Making eye contact. If it's online, look at the camera and don't avoid looking down all the time, because I did come across people that are pretty clearly maybe texting or typing something which doesn't look very professional. So like treat the camera as like the person right in front of you. Okay. Gather your material and also consider like using a professional username, because sometimes you can use that for personal purposes, and sometimes username doesn't sound very professional. So make sure that it's a professional one and it sounds good. All right. And with interview questions, we always have a few examples. It's not that you're always going to have those type of questions. It really depends on the employer. But the basic ones and the ones that by experience in the Netherlands I always come across. The very first one, tell me about yourself. All the time. It really happens that they always want to know a little bit more about you, whether it's on a personal level or professional level. Expect this kind of this question, because it happens very often. And think about the elevator pitch, which is a nice exercise. It's basically you are working in a company and you are in an elevator with the CEO of the company, and you are interested in a different position within that company. So it's called elevator pitch because in an elevator you want to spend like a minute or two in an elevator with that person, and then you have to sell yourself within those minutes. So think about that, because then you can always refer back, and you can always sell yourself and your skills with the elevator pitch, which is like the minute or two that would get the employer's attention. All right. Tell about experiences, whether they're good or bad. Try not to be too negative about the previous employer, because it's be always transparent, but always try to make the most out of even like a bad situation or someone that or an employment that did not work out in the end. But always tell the employer a nice story. How do you deal with stress as well? It's a classic one, and especially when it comes to very stressful positions that require a lot of contacting, emails, phone calls, etc. Good to know whether you are the right fit, and if you are not being too honest and say that you can handle stress really well, things will not work out in the end, because then, if the job requires a certain level of resistance towards stress, and you say that you are, but in fact you're not, in the end it's not going to work out. And always think about your strengths and weakness. Try to always be transparent and say, this is what I'm good at, and these are the things that I need to work on still. All right. About your education, why did you have your previous job, and why did you leave? Your previous position. There are always several reasons, and always good to be open about it. And what did you enjoy the most as well? Think about all these questions, because they come very, very often. And when you think about your previous employer, always think about the things that you like the most, the things that you did not like as much, because a lot of times they're going to ask because they're curious about the reason why you left, and but they're also curious about what was good about it, because then what did you learn about that job, because that would be, again, your one of the transferable skills that you can bring to a new job. And the other questions are more about examples of questions that you can receive. It's not, there's no right or wrong. For example, what would you rather win 3 silver medals or 1 gold medal? It's more about to test your personality, what kind of person you are. I never came across a question like that, but I do have an idea of what the answer that I would give. But it's, again, not right or wrong. It's more about getting to know you a little bit more. So that's it, and I hope it was very useful information, and good luck with everything, and yeah, just keep yourself noticeable, applying for vacancies, and look for nice employment platforms, and start applying. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rodrigo. Yeah, that was, I think, a good combination of how to prepare and preparation and applying, the first starting steps that you need to take. And we do have a couple of questions from the audience to the both of the speakers, so that's nice. Actually, one of them ties really nicely within the story that Anke has been telling us about that example that was shown. And I'm going to just switch to this general slide for now. One of the examples you have shown in the CV was an HR lady. So we got a question, can I start applying for a job in HR in the Netherlands if I only speak English? That I think ties very well within the language part.
Of course, I'm in HR and I'm only speaking English. Of course, recruitment is just a part of HR, but we do have, there are a lot of opportunities in Netherlands and in Rotterdam and the Hague region for international with HR experience. They should have a little bit of international experience, however. Yeah, I don't think that only Ukrainian experience will be sufficient. But if they work for a big company, definitely they have really, really good chances to find a job. Yeah,
that's good to know. Thanks. I think that answers the question pretty well. And one of the questions was quite generic. Is it normal to work full-time in the Netherlands?
Yes, as it is also normal not to work full-time but part-time in Netherlands. So this is the great part of Netherlands. And a full-time job can be 36 hours or 40 hours per week. And otherwise you can have a part-time job. You can look for a part-time job, meaning, I don't know, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, maybe 4 days per week.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really open to part-time positions. So if you are only available, maybe you are a mother and you need also to take care of your kids, it will work perfectly for you, and there are enough available opportunities also for the part-time position. You should need a good level of English, yes, of course. But, yeah.
So if you're in need of English courses or any other language courses, then of course it's quite useful for you to find some. There are a lot of opportunities to find them online in the Netherlands, so that's the good thing about it. So, and yeah, everybody in the Netherlands speaks English. You have found it out already, I'm sure. And there were a few questions regarding qualifications. What kind of job can I find with no EU education? I think you've told us a little bit about that.
It doesn't matter if you have a diploma in Ukraine or in Romania, like I have one, or here in the Netherlands or anywhere else. It's important to have a master's degree or a bachelor degree because it will state that you have certain hard skills and soft skills. Of course, the hard skills will be the subject that you actually studied at the university, and the soft skills that you already have teamwork spirit, yeah, and skills, and also problem-solving skills. This is what employers are looking for in terms of master or bachelor degree. It doesn't matter if you have it in Ukraine or here or anywhere else. They value also very much experience. So if you're not a junior, do not mind. We will not have specific questions or specific requirements on your type of diploma.
Really, that ties in really well with what you've told in your part, to be very specific about your skills and about what you're applying for on your CV. So that's a good addition. Thank you, Anka. And yeah, there were also a couple of questions coming in to ask Rodrigo maybe, because you've spoken about how to present yourself in an interview. Wouldn't that be a thing that is remarkable for the Dutch culture, that you have to be more direct when presenting yourself in an interview?
Yeah, definitely. It's an interesting topic when it comes to the Dutch directness, let's say, because the Dutch people can be perceived as being very direct and straightforward, and in some cultures this is like a little bit more difficult. Certainly, like, try to keep that in mind, that sometimes you may find a Dutch person very direct, or an employer or an interviewer very direct, but that's very normal. It's part of the culture. They want to actually get as much information as they need, and they also want to be transparent of what the job entitles and whether you are a good match or not. But certainly interesting to think about the difference when it comes to communication between like a Dutch person, a standard typical Dutch person, and someone who's not from the Netherlands. That's something that you learn with time and appreciate. I also come from a background that people sometimes not really direct, and then things are a little bit in between the lines, but then you just learn to be a little bit more Dutch, which I do appreciate as well, because then you know where you stand pretty much.
Yes, I agree. And also having your opinion and showing it even to your boss in a Dutch culture is normal, right?
It's normal, yeah. You will find that the hierarchy here is a little bit more flat. In some cultures you can have like the director, the manager, which you also have here, but it's a little bit more, it's you work almost at the same level as your managing director, as the CEO of the company, and it's something that it's very, very different here, and I personally really like, because I do appreciate to have like colleagues and managers and directors all in the same room, and we all part of a big team.
Yes, I can confirm that as well, working with a Dutch company, with having international people in our company. It's quite a thing for internationals to first get used to that, but once they step over that threshold, it's very normal in this country. So yeah, we actually have another question to Rodrigo, because you were saying, you were talking about transferable skills, and there was one question: can I start working in the Netherlands in a sector where I haven't worked before, and how to approach this market? Maybe that fits in within your story about the transfer.
Yeah, it definitely fits with you when it comes to transferable skills. As I mentioned, you might not have the title that the job is saying, like we need this kind of person. But when you think about the things that you've done in the past, in your previous employments, that would be highly transferable to the scope of that job, that's where you can actually have an advantage. And then you can sell yourself, okay, I do not have this exact experience. However, if you are looking for someone with this kind of qualifications, with these kind of skills, I do have them. And then you can always develop like a motivation letter, for example. This always helps when you don't have like the exact same title or the exact same profession, but you see that what you've done in the past really fits with what they're looking for. Motivation letter is always good, because then you can say, this is what I've done. If you're looking for someone with those skills, I do have them, and yeah, we'll be happy to have a conversation about it.
Thank you. I think that really answers the question. Another question from the audience, and now it sounds: if I want to work in a creative profession, how do I best share my portfolio? Maybe that's a question to Anka.
I don't know. You should be on LinkedIn for sure. Then you can also add a part or links, of course. Yeah, here you have a portfolio and not a CV. But your portfolio should be in English, or if you have some, I don't know, your work is in Ukrainian, to have some inputs in English, so for the ones that are reviewing it to understand what you worked on. I would think yes, LinkedIn, and otherwise just to get to know what are the agencies, recruitment agencies, or eventually the specific companies that are searching for creative people. But I do know that yeah, this profile is quite required right now in Netherlands. It's a need in Netherlands for creativity and for candidates. So yeah, you should have a very good chance here. Just find the right direction.
So good luck with that. Yes, definitely. And another question. Seems like a lot of people are interested to find a job in HR. We already talked about that. So one person is asking, if I have a diploma as an economist, but I have really good teamwork and communication skills, is it possible to find a job as an HR?
It will really depends. It's also what Rodrigo said. Yeah, it's everything about transferable skills, what your experience is, how you can explain through your experience how you can use your skills and experience in another field. Yes, we do need people good with numbers, also in HR for admin part. It depends on your communication skills. So yes, it is a possibility. Yeah, it is.
And another question which might tie in with that as well is about references. How do you best suggest to collect your job references from previous employers? Would you rather do it before or after the job offer, or after the interview? What would be the order?
It will be at the late stages. So usually when a company decided that they really want to get this candidate, but before extending the offer. So this is really almost the latest step. And usually we ask the candidate to provide us with 2 or 3 names and phone numbers. So we will call the person and we will have a discussion just to check some information, only the information that was also available on CV. But this is really at the latest stages. If you are in a reference check step, you almost got the job.
That's a very good point to see where you stand indeed. Thank you. There's one more question which already I think we have quite answered in part, but is it possible to find a job in the Netherlands as I have 14 years of experience as payroll accountant in an international company? Well, I would say, why not? It again ties within the transferable skills.
Yeah,
And,
Definitely,
yeah.
absolutely. I don't see why not, to be honest. Yeah, it's, if you have what it takes, if you have the skills, I honestly don't see why not. But of course, yeah, it depends on other factors, and if you also bring the other requirements, you know, if you make sure they speak the language that they want, then absolutely, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So don't shy away. Just try. At least you have tried. That's very important. And yeah, it's good that we keep receiving questions actually as we speak. But I think that for now we have covered most of the burning questions. There is one more coming in actually. I'm going to read it right now. If I never worked officially for an employer, but I had my own business for a long time and I have 3 high educations in Ukraine, what are my chances for finding a job? So having 3 educations is very normal actually in Ukraine, because in a lot of Slavic countries you have such a versatile and rich background. I think we've talked about that. But right now, yeah, the person has own business, and what are the chances? What would you say?
Ooh, that's a nice one. Yeah, it's difficult to answer that one, because most of the time, if you are a recruiter, you are looking for certain skills or qualifications that would match the job position. But someone who always, yeah, That's a very good one. I think the best way to find out would be to maybe have a conversation with the recruiter, for example, like have an intake, because part of the intake is really to get the most out of the candidates, and that's something that with the intake you get more than just the resume. So then with that initial interview, you can maybe think about, okay, so she's got this kind of skills, what can I actually offer her that would be interesting. So without that intake, I think it's hard to answer a little bit because we need to know a little bit more about the things that you did. So then the recruiter will be able to pick things up and say, okay, so these are the things that I can use in order to sell your skills to a certain employer. But that's a very good question.
Yes. Indeed, but thank you so much for answering it. And I think we're approaching the end of the webinar, and maybe we can hear from Anka and Rodrigo last recommendations, or as a wrap-up, what would be your final advice for the job-seeking people watching us right now? Anka.
Oh, so be persistent, yeah? Do not give up. It's not easy usually to find a job, but you need to be persistent, yes? Have a well-written CV. Always personalize your cover letter to the position for which you are applying for. Ask feedback. Once that you have sent your CV and cover letter, but you don't have news, follow up with an email or with a call to have feedback. Feedback will always help you. Yeah, it might be a straightforward one, and you will be like a little bit shocked. No worries. They just take what you need to adjust, then adjust your search, and really be persistent in your search. This is very important. Do not get discouraged. Now the job market is really dynamic, so there are more jobs actually than available candidates on the market. So your chances are really good if you have a good level of English, of course. This is the minimum requirement, a good level of English. So this is it.
Thank you, Anka. Yes, Rodrigo.
I would say, make yourself available and show your skills out there. You have like all these platforms that you can subscribe. You can make a nice LinkedIn profile, and then you can say that you're open to work, and do a nice research, and most importantly, apply for roles, and because then you get yourself, you get your resume out there. And eventually it will land in a placement.
Thank you. Yes, I think it's a nice wrap up. And as Anka just also said, there are a lot of vacancies right now in the Netherlands, so don't shy away. Try to present yourself, use all the tips and tricks that have been shared in this webinar, and not to worry, you don't need to write down everything that was said, because we will share with you the handouts from this webinar. So everyone who's been watching us live or who has missed this webinar, you will receive from us an email with the most important points from this presentation. And if you have any additional questions on this slide, you will have the important email addresses from the expat centers in our region. So Rotterdam, The Hague, Leiden, you will get them also in the handout. So if you have any additional questions that have not been answered, and I know that our team is quite busy behind the scenes to answer some additional ones, then please do and send them an email, and they will try to answer it as soon as possible. So at least we do our utmost best to help you in the way we can. And this brings us to the end of this first webinar series, the first part. And we actually have a second part, which will be just in about 10 days from now. On the 18th of May, we'll have our second webinar, which will be solely about searching opportunities in this region. So as I said in the beginning, the organizers are hubs, communities with startups, scale-ups, but also expat centers working in this region of Greater Rotterdam, the Hague area, which also includes Delft and Leiden. So please sign up for this webinar as well. On this slide, you will see the link. We will also share it on our LinkedIn, on all kinds of social media platforms. and you will receive it by email. So please sign up, because this will be as important as this one, and share it with people you know, with other Ukrainians that you know. So next webinar, we'll be talking about platforms, portals, some new portals to be launched. So stay with us. And also some first-hand experience will be shared in the next one. So stay tuned for that. And if you have any questions, just contact us. So thank you so much. Thank you again, our speakers, for sharing your valuable knowledge with us. Thank you, our team, for helping us to organize this. And thank you, dear viewers, for your valuable questions. And we hope we have answered them in the best way we can. Stay with us and stay in contact. Goodbye.